Imagine this. A key military partner, special access to equipment, top training, but not actually in a formal alliance.
Yeah, it's a unique setup.
And now, imagine that special status is suddenly being questioned. That's what's happening with Kenya right now.
It's a fascinating situation, really.
Welcome to the Deep Dive. We're here to get you informed fast. Today, we are looking into Kenya's major non-NATO ally status, MNA for short.
Right.
This designation, it was a sign of really strengthening ties with the U.S., but now, well, it's exposing this complex geopolitical balancing act. Washington seems to be having second thoughts.
It really highlights the pressures these countries face.
So our mission today is to unpack what MNNA status actually means, the nuts and bolts. How Kenya managed to become the first sub-Saharan African nation to get it, which is huge.
A really significant milestone.
And crucially, why it's now facing a formal review. We'll dig into the specific concerns, Kenya's diplomatic moves, and what could happen next for this key African nation and its global ties.
Okay, so starting with the basics, this major non-NATO ally thing, it's not just symbolic. It's actually written into U.S. law.
Right, there's legal weight behind it.
Exactly. It gives these non-NATO countries, like Kenya, special access to U.S. military cooperation equipment. It's a formal arrangement.
But critically, it's not NATO membership, so no mutual defense pact, right? That seems like a big draw for a country wanting flexibility.
Absolutely spot on. It explicitly doesn't include those mutual defense obligations.
Yeah.
That's the fundamental difference. But the benefits, they're still incredibly significant, offers a real strategic edge.
And looking at those benefits, you really get why a country would want this. I mean, priority access to surplus U.S. gear,
Which can be a game changer.
cooperative R&D with the Department of Defense, defense financing eligibility, being looped into counterterrorism efforts.
Joint training, too. Don't forget that.
Right, joint training. But maybe beyond the hardware, what's the sort of a less tangible advantage that really boosts a nation's standing?
Well, it's more than just getting stuff, It signals a deep level of trust, a kind of strategic alignment.
Okay.
For Kenya, it means better security, definitely. Upgraded military capabilities that can shape their defense posture long-term, and a clear strategic partnership with the U.S. without getting fully tangled in a treaty that might restrict other foreign policy moves.
So lots of flexibility, but still projecting strength. Makes sense.
Precisely.
So with all that on the table, how did Kenya specifically secure this, especially being the first in sub-Saharan Africa?
Well, it happened quite recently. President Biden formally told Congress he intended to designate Kenya back on May 23rd, 2024.
Okay, so just over a year ago now.
Yeah. And then it was made official just a month later, June 24th, 2024, with a presidential memorandum.
And the U.S. reasoning, what was the official line?
The U.S. pointed to Kenya playing a key role in AFRICOM operations, their counterterrorism work, which is significant in the region, and contributions to peacekeeping. Think about their leadership role in the Haiti security mission, for example. That got a lot of attention.
And that fact being the first sub-Saharan African nation, that really can't be overstated, can it? It emphasizes just how unique Kenya's position was seen by the U.S. at that moment.
Absolutely. A real marker of the perceived depth of the partnership.
But, and there's always a but, it seems.
Yeah, seems that way.
The ink was barely dry, as they say, and trouble started brewing. Less than a year later, May 2025, Senator Jim Risch,
Chairman of the Senate Foreign Relations Committee, a very influential position.
Right. He publicly starts questioning Kenya's MNNA status. What set him off? Was it one specific thing?
His main concern, or at least the one he voiced most loudly, was President Ruto's, quote, warm engagement with China.
China. Often comes up.
Indeed. He specifically pointed to a speech where President Ruto called Kenya and China co-architects of a new world order.
Oof. Yeah, I can see how that phrase co-architects would definitely raise some eyebrows in Washington, D.C.
Exactly. Yeah, it immediately triggered questions about where Kenya's geopolitical alignment truly lies.
So how did Senator Risch turn that worry into action? He didn't just talk about it, right?
No, he pushed for a full review of Kenya's alignment. Basically warned that getting too close to Beijing could hurt U.S. interests in East Africa.
And a mechanism.
He proposed an amendment to the big defense spending bill, the NDAA, for fiscal year 2026.
Okay.
That amendment, if it gets approved, calls for a formal review of Kenya's designation within 90 days. This all came out around August 5th, 2025, so it's very current.
And if it passes, Secretary of State Marco Rubio gets the job of doing the review, reporting back in 180 days. So how did Nairobi react? That's a pretty direct challenge.
Kenya reacted quickly, but diplomatically. The chairman of their parliament's defense committee, Nelson Koch, wrote directly to Senator Risch,
What was the gist of a letter?
essentially reminding him of the long-standing broad partnership, highlighting Kenya's role in counterterrorism, the Haiti mission again, development cooperation like PEPFAR, basically saying, hey, look at the whole picture here.
And it wasn't just letters, I assume. Diplomatic channels must have been buzzing.
Oh, absolutely. Kenya's Foreign Affairs Cabinet Secretary, Musalia Mudavadi, held direct talks with U.S. officials, including Secretary Rubio himself.
Trying to smooth things over.
Trying to reassure Washington, clarify their position, emphasize continued alignment, and the strategic partnership. Damage control, essentially.
So this potential congressional review, if it happens, what are they actually digging into? Is it just about China, or is it wider?
Oh, it's much wider than just China. The Senate concerns cover quite a few areas.
Such as?
Okay, so political and financial ties of Kenya's elite, not just with China, but also with Russia and Iran.
Wow, okay. Broader than I thought.
Yeah. Then there's Kenya's role in China's Belt and Road Initiative and the debt situation that comes with it.
Right, the debt trap narrative always plays in.
It does. And then you have alleged intelligence links,
Yeah.
potentially to groups like Sudan's RSF or even al-Shabaab.
That's serious.
Very. And maybe the most sensitive part, allegations that Kenya might be misusing U.S. security aid. There were reports cited about human rights issues, things like abductions, torture, renditions, violence against civilians.
So for you listening, this isn't a single issue review. It's a really deep look at Kenya's foreign entanglements and its internal behavior.
Exactly. It's comprehensive.
And the stakes here are obviously high for Kenya. If they lose this MNNA status, or even if it gets downgraded, what are the immediate impacts?
Well, the impact could be pretty severe. It could seriously cut down their access to U.S. military gear, intelligence sharing, those valuable training programs, joint ops.
So a tangible hit to their capabilities.
Definitely. But it's also symbolic. It would signal a major shift in U.S. policy towards East Africa, potentially weakening Kenya's regional influence.
And what about those international missions they're involved in, like Haiti?
That's a huge point. It could undermine their role in missions like ANASOM in Somalia, or, yes, the Haiti security mission, where they've really stepped up. The ripple effects could be quite significant for regional stability efforts.
This whole situation really throws Kenya's strategic tightrope walk into sharp relief, doesn't it? They've historically tried to maintain this non-aligned posture.
Right, balancing ties with the West, with China, with other powers.
And this Senate scrutiny just shows how difficult that balancing act is becoming.
It really does. And looking bigger picture, some analysts worry that if African nations become too reliant on, say, U.S. security ties, it might actually undermine that broader African goal of non-alignment and unity. You know, the vision laid out in things like the African Union's Agenda 2063.
It's a tough position, trying to maintain agency while needing security partnerships.
A very delicate dance.
So, bottom line, where are we right now? Has Kenya lost the status?
No. As of this moment, Kenya still has its MNNA status. That's been reaffirmed by U.S. AFRICOM leadership relatively recently, May 2025, and confirmed to Congress. So, status quo for now, but under a cloud.
But the review process is still churning.
Yes, that formal congressional review process is underway, or at least the push for it is very real. And the diplomatic outreach from Kenya continues alongside it.
And the potential outcomes from the U.S. side.
Well, depending on what any review finds, the U.S. could reaffirm the status, maybe impose some conditions or restrictions, or, if issues are found and addressed, potentially restore full access later. It's still unfolding.
Okay, so wrapping this up for you, our listener, what we've seen is this core tension. Kenya, a vital U.S. partner, but also deepening ties elsewhere, especially China. It's about this unique MNNA status, the first for sub-Saharan Africa, now facing serious scrutiny. A real strategic tightrope.
And it leaves us with a big question for you to think about. In this world with multiple power centers emerging, how do nations like Kenya navigate these complex partnerships? How do they get the security and development they need without getting pulled too hard in one direction or losing their own strategic autonomy?
What does this whole episode tell us about the delicate dance of diplomacy today and how alliances and strategic interests are constantly shifting?
Yeah, it's worth considering the ripple effects. How do these high-level decisions impact stability on the ground and that whole complex web of global power?
Definitely something to mull over. It's a story that's clearly not finished, and how it plays out will tell us a lot about the future of international relations.